Hey folks, Rick Crawford here talking ag finance when we come back right after this. Most farmers borrow money to run their operations for a variety of reasons. But it is a common practice in the ag world, regardless of whether you're producing livestock or whether you're growing crops or whatever it is. So a lot of factors to consider. It's just like any business when you're borrowing money. There are a lot of things to consider with regard to credit worthiness, equity, an individual's credit history, liquidity, cash flow, a variety of issues, and farmers are no different than any other business in that regard. There are a variety of sources to provide financing to ag producers. Usually is an ag lender, either in your bank or a farm credit. That's probably the more conventional method. But the USDA has some programs as well, and those are probably most common with people who are either young and have not established themselves as farmers. So a lot of times you'll see that with the Young and Beginning Farmer program, or who maybe have ate up more equity than they need to in their farm operation, and so then they will look to USDA as a source for finance. Traditionally, lenders want to loan money to farmers who are good farmers or ranchers. They want to see that there's a history there. It could be a family history. So when you got a young person coming up and their father or mother has been a good producer and a good customer, then they probably stand a little bit better chance of getting that critical financing to help their operation. So in that case, we're talking about not just credit worthiness but character. These are some people that they know and they feel comfortable with. But underlying that, you need to have a plan. You need to have a good cash flow. You need to have a good risk management strategy. So you're just not walking in and saying, hey, I need to borrow several $100,000. Can you help me? Typically what they want is someone who has a very well presented plan, who is credit worthy, who has a good operation, experience, knowledge, risk management strategy in place, things like that help secure that loan. I would say that probably some of the things that we should look at here in Washington is the difference between one industry and another. Sometimes we have a habit in Washington of cookie cutter approach to things, one size fits all, and that's not necessarily the case, and that's particularly true in agriculture when you have the national security imperative attached to our ability to feed and clothe ourselves. I'll give you an example. In my business, if I am not up in the morning preparing a market report in my previous business, if I didn't get a market report out, if I didn't update my website, if I didn't meet with my radio station affiliates, the world's not going to come to an end. I mean, it's not that big a deal, right? I mean, I was out there, I think, providing a valuable service to producers. But the real value is the producers themselves who provide us our food and our clothing. And so, you make the comparison between what they do and what I was doing, and my contribution to, the economy, while it impacted my life certainly, and the 11 people that worked for me, it was not a national security type of a deal. And so the policy that we engage in here has to take that into consideration, that ag production is just a little bit different. Well, those are two separate things. One is crop insurance provides some level of security for the loan, and that is to say, lenders want to know that their farmers do have a risk management strategy in place. The MFP, the market facilitation payment, is based on lack of access to a given market. It's not has anything to do with price, and it's not something you want to count on. You don't want to calculate that as part of your cash flow analysis. And lenders don't loan money based on if or when a market facilitation payment will be made. And so what you have to treat that as almost as found money. What will happen is if the markets come back, if we start to gain access, say for example to China, and then once the USMCA is signed, sealed, and delivered in Canada, we start to see that market movement. That's what they're looking at, not prices. So the markets could come back. We could access China tomorrow, and that may or may not impact prices. But that's going to be the limiting factor on whether or not producers see an additional MFP payment in this crop year. If and when financing becomes a problem, there could be a number of contributing factors. One is obviously we end up with an overproduction of certain crops, and certain base typically continues to grow certain crops, and farmers don't want to loan money on things that they can't cash flow. So there's issues like that. There's weather issues, risky weather conditions, which we have no control over and really can't even foresee. We have the market issues that we talked about. Do we even have much control over that? Not at the turn row level. We're relying on people in the administration right now to facilitate these trade deals, to open up these markets. And the thing that I hear over and over again from farmers is, if you keep the federal government off my farm and reduce regulations and open up markets, we can farm and we can do business. And so what we need to be about is trying to figure that out and help create the conditions under which farmers can succeed. It doesn't guarantee success, but it puts a level playing field in place, and that's really what they're asking for. None of these farmers that I talk to are asking for any special favors or treatment. They just want an opportunity to succeed, just the opportunity to succeed. And that really is that's the essence of America, is putting the ingredients in place to give people the opportunity to succeed, regardless of what their past history has been, regardless of where they came from. I'm more concerned about where they're going. And so that's what farmers want. They just want a fair shake. They want to be able to compete on a level playing field, and they're looking to Washington to help secure a level playing field.